So I've been doing the carnivore diet for a month now and love it. And the most common question I get from everyone is, what about cholesterol? Are you gonna have a heart attack? And let me just say with a resounding confidence that the answer is no. I think we've got cholesterol all wrong, and I've been doing a lot of research on the subject and want to share some details, but essentially I'm not worried at all about it. In fact, I think that the LDLs and saturated fats are very necessary and healthy. There's no association with cholesterol and heart issues. That's right, red meat, eggs, and even butter are all good for you. In fact, I think they could be some of the healthiest foods that you can eat in the most natural form and not containing sugars and carbs and any processed seed oils, things like this. So original studies showed there's a correlation, not causation, back in 1977 between cholesterol and heart disease, and everyone freaked out and changed the guidelines. And they were actually false, and they were proven now to be bought and paid for by the Sugar Association so that they can sell lots of cereals and grains and lots of other processed foods. And so America made a shift after some of these guidelines came out in 1977 and reduced their cholesterol and the fat intake by about 33% and increased grains and vegetables and fruits and started some processed foods and all that after that. So what happened? Heart disease rates increased, they tripled. So, and this is after Surgeon General came out and said smoking's bad, and which was one of the main reasons people had heart attacks before. And now suddenly heart disease just tripled. And in addition to that, things such as obesity, heart disease, autism, diabetes, stroke, Parkinson's, autoimmune diseases, all increased exponentially right after that. So we got it wrong. What happened? One of these Professor Mark, became head of the USDA. He was a Harvard doctor. There was three of them that did a bunch of studies, and they actually proved that they'd been paid off by the sugar industry to draw this correlation between heart disease and cholesterol, when in fact they were trying to exonerate sugar and called that sugar is just an empty calorie. Laugh. Anyway, so Dr. Mark became the head of the USDA. He shaped and authored the guidelines, dietary recommendations that all the doctors follow, and everyone started following the food pyramid. Everything comes out, and everyone significantly reduced all their fats and cholesterols, and it changed the world. Stop eating fat, start eating more vegetables, fruits. So we know the outcome. Just look around. We have massive health crisis, and it's not related to cholesterol. Clearly, it's related to sugars and processed foods and all these other sugary drinks that we're drinking. So anyways, we can't say that if you reduce cholesterol that heart disease goes down. We've actually seen the opposite of that. And cholesterol has been proven in many studies to be protective, especially in elderly people if they need to have more LDLs to extend their life. There's been a lot of studies that showed to the contrary and poor evidence. They basically used a lot of biased data to show their outcomes. This was in the past when they were trying to prove this, and they left out specific data in the contrary so that they could make their points. And they basically cherry-picked the data, and all of this data has since been proven to have been paid for by the sugar and the food industries. And many studies since been done, and thousands of people, with half of them being high cholesterol and half of them being low cholesterol, and no significant difference in heart disease. So zero correlation whatsoever since then. In fact, since 2015, there's been tons of studies that have come out proving completely the opposite and showing some of the benefits of saturated fats and some of the actual downsides of polyunsaturated fats, and that LDLs are necessary. And sugar is the real culprit here. And I think that's the part that everyone's being kind of misled about and kind of going down the wrong path. So why do I like being on a carnivore diet? Because you're pushing all sugars out of your body, including vegetables and fruits. I know that's a little wild and it's kind of mind-blowing me. I'm gonna sit here and eat sugar, or I'm gonna eat butter, and I'm gonna eat all these red meat and steaks every day, and ground beef and fishes and chickens, and putting cream and butter and salt and things like this on your meal to make it healthier and to make your body operate more efficiently, because you need all the fats. But you burn it right up. It doesn't stay in your system. And by the way, like for cholesterol to go into your cellular walls and into your arteries and form plaque, there has to be a tear in there. It has to be opened up. It has to be fractured in order for it to get in there. And so that starts with sugar. It's sugar and carbs that go in and create the inflammation and wear down these walls and create the issue so that it can even get in there. So while at some point cholesterol is not perfect in all scenarios, but the problem comes in with the sugars and the carbs. So if you're reducing those, you can have as much saturated fat as you want. In fact, you need it. And you'll find that saturated fats do lots of good things in the body. Your cell membranes are made up of saturated fats. You need them to perform vitamin D and lots of hormones that are precursors for all those things. So cholesterol is a good thing. Your body makes it. It only makes about 70% of it. So the rest you have to get from diet, from bringing in that. That's why these things are not bad. So you bring it in, your body starts to use it as fuel instead of carbs if you're doing something like a carnivore or keto diet. So it's not such a bad thing. I think it's been villainized or demonized, but it was done on purpose. Think about who has to gain from this. It's the food companies. It's kind of an odd thing, but R.J. Reynolds, Philip Morris, all the smoking companies, when Surgeon General came out and said smoking's bad for you in like 1980s, what'd they do? They all bought all the major food companies. These were the largest acquisitions ever made in this country. And they started running the food companies and created all these scientists to go in and start engineering food, so they made it so you would want to eat more of it. Basically, there's no satiety. You don't get the satiated feeling. So basically, you'll grab a family-sized bag of Doritos and you eat the whole thing, eat 2,000 or 3,000 calories, and you're not full. How is that possible? If you eat 12 ounces of steak, you're full. You can't control the amount of calories you're bringing in and all the sugars and all the negative things that are happening in your body with all the processed foods and the other things. So the industry's kind of pushed you that way. And if you look at 90% of the food in the supermarket, it's all manufactured processed foods with lots of, if you really want to get into it, pesticides, lots of other things in these things, and lots of chemicals that we don't understand that sometimes last forever in our body and that we can't take out. And so these aren't good things, but that's what's being pushed on the majority of the world. And then a lot of people can't afford really healthy foods, unfortunately. So cheap fast food and processed food is what is being pushed to them because the subsidies are made at the high levels for massive grain products and corn, and sadly, sprayed with glyphosate and all these other things that are killing millions of Americans and creating autism and creating these immunosuppressant or autoimmune diseases, and all these people with allergies. This was around 40, 50 years ago. If you go talk to your grandparents or people in their 60s or plus, ask them if they knew people that had any of these issues when they were a kid. No, it's all because of our food source and because of the way we're eating and the lack of exercise and whatnot. So what's the solution right now? I know I'm way off topic, but it's not Ozempic. It's not taking a pill to solve all your problems. Unfortunately, we don't know much about where that's going to take us, but there's no long-term research on it. And all indicators are you're not taking in the nutrients, right? So you're not just losing fat, you're losing muscle, and sarcopenia is going to happen, and body parts are going to start to fail. And I'm already seeing that in people that I'm associated with that have been taking it. And so the reality suggests that it's okay right now 12 years old is the youngest age they can dose that, but they're trying to push that to 6 years old. So if you're slightly overweight and you're 6 years old, they want to start pilling you. And why is that? Because it's a cash cow. It's just ongoing revenue. And so they can, it's basically something you need to be taking for life, because once you come off it, you're going to get weight back. And you've got, no doctors are saying, well, hey, you're a young child and you're overweight. Have you been outside? Do you exercise? Are you getting activity? How are you sleeping? What's your nutrition look like? What are you eating? Because you can solve all these problems through those conversations, but no one's asking those conversations because there's no money to be made there, right? Anyway, I think we need to reconsider cholesterol. We need to reconsider how we're eating as far as like whole foods, especially, and as much proteins as you can. And I think a carnivore diet is one way, and I don't know if I'll do it forever, but I'm excited about some of the things I'm not putting in my body right now, and not taking in, some certain chemicals that I can't control. It's very controlled what I'm putting in right now. And I think as a whole, we all have to start becoming more educated, because we've been lied to about these things. And the people that are in charge in setting policy and doing all the research, the majority of those companies and education facilities and the health institutes all of them are almost half or more funded by big pharma, by the medical industry. Same people that are giving us bad food and engineering it so that we have all these issues are then turning around offering us, pills to solve the problem. And it's just this constant cycle, and everyone seems to be making money and okay with this system. But I think at some point we have to stop and realize that and say no to some of these things and start focusing on how do we do this stuff on a more natural way. And it's real simple. Life is really easy to fix from a health standpoint. Sleep well, move and be fairly active, and then eat whole foods. Lots of protein. You will feel amazing. Your life will change. And drink a lot of water. Don't drink sugary sodas. You just don't need them. There's 0 point in it. And maybe eliminate a lot more of the alcohol, but have some fun. But you don't need to do all that perfectly all the time, but that needs to be a part of your week. You have to have a strategy around it. If it's staying indoors, if it's not sleeping well, it's looking at screens all day, high stress, no activity, not getting at least 7,000 steps a day and moving around, and or going to the gym and lifting a weight, and eating sugary, whatever I can get my hands on, something fast that has no nutrients and lots of bad things in there that are actually chemically poisoning society, then you can guarantee what the future's going to hold. You're going to have some of these diseases. Cancer's going to come. These autoimmune diseases are going to come. Neurodegenerative diseases. Majority of people are getting, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and all these dementia at a very young age now. And there's no surprise with what we're putting in our body that's guaranteed the same outcome. And then there will be a pill to try to solve that. But you can forecast 30, 40 years down the road right now and see where you're going to be. So if you're not moving today, in 20 or 30 years, you're going to have all these issues. If you're not eating well today, in 20, 30 years, if not immediately, it's in you, it's starting. You just don't feel it in your body today, but it's coming. So, if you care at all about 20, 30, 40 years down the road, you have to make adjustments today. Some might call that sacrifices. Fine, make sacrifices. Do hard things. That's not such a bad thing in life. But the sacrifices, if you want to call them that, will make you feel amazing, will make you sharper, will make you have more energy, will make you, a better family member and friend and person you're around. Build a community, spend more time with people. Talk about things like this with, people that you love, and help them see why they shouldn't be putting some of those things in their body, and they should move a little bit more, and how they should maybe eat a little more protein or drink a little more water. And as a whole, I think we can come out of this thing that's very reversible, and we just need, to shine the light on the right areas. No idea where this started, but I think I should end it here. Have a great day.